Okay, this is it. It's episode 1. This is Pop My Cherry. This has been a long time in the making. I cannot actually believe that we're actually doing this. This is the first episode, so just as a heads up, this is going to be very much like a pilot episode. Disclaimer as well, take everything that I say on here with a pinch of salt. The kind of, I suppose, the inspiration of this podcast, it's not meant to be anything serious. I am not qualified at life advice. Do not take anything that I say literally. This is kind of, if you're maybe going on a drive, you've maybe got your root canal coming up, you're a wee bit nervous about it, you don't know how to feel about it, and you need a wee bit of a distraction, something light, something fluffy, something cutesy, very demure. This is your podcast. So I've always wanted to bring out a podcast. I've been on podcasts for quite a while. Trying to get a wee bit of research and a bit of insight onto them, but I wasn't really too sure where I wanted to go with it. But we've started it. Sean, I've been a nightmare, haven't I? We've got producer Sean here.
You've been okay.
Bullshit. It's been back and forth and up and down, and we were like, the set has to be right. This has to be perfect.
When you want to get it right, you have to get it right.
Yeah, this is it. And I feel like it's very much, I think, it can grow. It doesn't have to be this like Oprah Winfrey, like chat show kind of thing from the start. This can evolve.
But it can be.
But, well, we'll talk maybe about the set. So behind me, if you are only listening to this, lucky for you. If you are unfortunately watching us here right now, you will see our very much like sheen set that we've got. It's not too bad.
It's good. I like it.
Out of 10.
Out of 10, I think we're sitting at we're between a 7 and an 8. Like,
oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Yeah. But it's very much...
I mean, one of the better ones that we have.
Really?
Yeah.
We see Andrews is unbelievable. It's like a proper like chat show, like very like Jerry Springer kind of vibes. But look, we're starting out, so we'll have to kind of get it up. The inspiration behind it was it's very much like the pinks and the reds, and I kind of wanted to create like a safe space. So whenever I think of a safe space, I always think where did I feel most safest? Inside the womb. The world's the big bad place. So it's very vaginal kind of colours. You've got your pinks, your reds, that type of thing.
Yonic.
Mm-hmm.
Yonic is like the word for something that's resembling a vagina.
Oh, really?
No, the way you would say phallic for like something that's like a penis. But yonic is the opposite of that.
Really? I didn't even know phallic either.
Yeah.
So phallic is
like
something that resembles a penis. So say like a eggplant.
Yes. You're like, that's a very phallic looking plant.
Oh, serious?
Yeah.
And then yonic's like, so a vagina, so things that would resemble a vagina would be like
a donut.
A donut?
A flower.
A flower, yeah. Uh-huh. Basically, so this is it. This is very much like a open to suggestions kind of podcast. You know, we're going to be having guests coming on, but I kind of wanted to start the first episode kind of just me and you, whoever's listening, and just kind of get a feel for it. So it's going to be very fun. We're going to be talking about so many different things on here, taboo subjects, dating dilemmas, different things. It can honestly be whatever you want it to be. That's kind of the main goal of this here. Is I don't want it to be something that's kind of pigeonholed into kind of one certain style or subject. You know, we can touch on obviously like important topics and serious issues. I definitely think there's a lot of hatred at the moment in the world. I don't really know what the fuck is going on. I think ever since like 2020, I just think there's a real fucking epidemic that people are just cunts, to be frank. And there's just a lot of hatred in the world. So I suppose with this, I think a lot of joy is needed back in the world. Like, I want this to be fun, but I want it to be a very inclusive thing. I want all different walks of life to be able to relate, because I think what I've learned in life is the greatest education you get is from other people. You know, diversity is something that should definitely be like embraced. It should be celebrated. But at the minute, I feel like we're all very much like pivoted against one another, which is really not cool. But hopefully with something like this here, you know, it's creating open conversations, and I want this to be as blended as possible. But today we're going to be doing something a wee bit different. Did you ever read Dear Deirdre?
I know of it, yeah.
You know of it,
yeah.
So like it was always in the newspaper every week, very much like an Agony Aunt type of thing.
Yes.
Would you be good at advice, Sean?
I'm okay. I
Okay.
think I'm wise enough that I can give my 2 pence on things.
You can give your 2 pence, right? Okay, so we've got a few responses. So I put a question box up on my Instagram just to kind of get some like dating dilemmas, whether it's like love troubles, first dates, relationship issues, and I was kind of hoping to see what we would get back, and hopefully we could answer some of them here. Well, we've got loads. The world is starving. All the women out there, Sean, they're getting treated really badly. It's a fucking shit show. So I'm gay, Sean's straight. So we're going to get, this is kind of like a cross-community project.
Yeah, diversity.
Diversity and inclusion. We've got it from the get-go.
There's a grant there somewhere.
There's a grant So you're going to get like a straight male's perspective, and then you're going to get my perspective as well. So I suppose I'm representing the female, not to be stereotypical. And you might understand maybe if you're hearing something, maybe it might be like, look, the women are maybe overthinking that part, or, you know, we can kind of give our 2 P's on it. So here we go. Dating dilemmas. Leave it with me actually 1 wee second to get my reading glasses on. Okay, so the glasses are on. Let's go. So we've got our first one here. Now, these are all going to be completely anonymous. And let's see. So dating dilemma number 1. Okay, so I was in a 12-year relationship. I met him when I was 21 and he was 36. There's a gap.
Yeah.
Okay, we both had daughters, then together we had a son. 4 days after our 12-year anniversary, he ended our relationship and told me he wanted space. 6 weeks later, we moved out of our home. 2 months later, he says he wants to work on us and maybe get back together, but his words and actions don't add up. He keeps saying he wants to go really slow and not put pressure on it, but I feel he just wants to keep me at arm's length and wants us to be friends. Whenever I try to talk, he says not to rush it. I've given him 4 weeks to see if he wants to spend time together or ask me on a date. I've given him more than he deserves because he really broke my heart. Oh, God. When there was a lot of trust and a lot of stupid stuff he has done from when he ended it a few months ago. Should I give him a second chance or should I wait more than 4 weeks? So basically, the girl's in limbo, like, thoughts. So there's a part where I'm a wee bit like you should always respect somebody's space.
Yep.
And I think I think that's something that can't be measured.
Yeah, but it's the mixed signals that turns the table.
That turns the table.
You know, it screams. You know.
Yeah.
What? So he's mid-40s at this point now.
So I'm gonna 12 years. So I'm terrible at maths. 12 years. So 36 plus 12.
48.
48. So
Yeah,
he'd be about 48, and she'd be in her 30s.
So he's going. Is this my last? You know, chance to get out on the scene.
Oh, is that what you think?
You know, midlife crisis.
Midlife crisis. Very much like the wall, like nearly like as if I'm keeping you at arm's length because I still want to kind of see what's out there and nearly make the most of like some sort of youth. But I think either would you wait or would you give a second chance?
I mean, when there's kids involved.
There's kids involved, yeah.
In a relationship. So,
yeah.
Like, in that regard, you're going, you know, do you give space to try and like, or do you give them a chance to, like, but then again, you have to have a bit of self-respect as well, don't you?
This is it. And I feel like it's that thing when you've history with somebody or if you have kids or if you have that kind of, I'm sure it wasn't all bad and maybe it just turned bad at a point, but it's kind of that, like, I don't think anybody should ever be made to feel like not reassured. And I think if you are feeling confused and if you feel like you're being held in kind of like a limbo, purgatory kind of place, I just don't think that's really right. And I think it's the best advice I would say, because this is kind of like an approach, because I'm not qualified at giving it. So I don't want to ruin anybody's life. But if it was me personally, I likely would say I would sit down and have a conversation, kind of like not an ultimatum, but kind of like look, this has been 4 weeks. You're kind of fucking about here. What's going on? Are you in or are you out? You can't be in between. And then I would likely see how he reacts to that and then make your decision. But it's quite a heavy one, to be honest. So best of luck with that. Keep me posted.
Give them a choice.
I would say give it a choice, and I think how they choose or how they handle it will give you your answer.
Yeah.
So if they're still very much wanting to be in this limbo, but giving you mixed signals, one minute they're kind of wanting to be with you, but not, and this, take that as a no, I would say, and I would just kind of move on with your life. But it is hard to walk away from, especially 12 years. You know, you have a lot of history with this guy. But at the same time, like, you should always kind of put yourself first and don't let anybody, I suppose, take advantage of you. So best of luck with that. I hope that helps. We've got another one here. Oh, right. Okay. So here we go. Right, Sean, buckle up for this one. So, hi, Gerry. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. The man I've started seeing has warned me that an affliction, a very thick you-know-what, he says it has caused issues in previous relationships, and I'm a bit scared now of getting jiggy with him. So basically a big dick. Like a big dick, donkey dick shit. Could this be a good thing? Could it be a fat no, excuse the pun? Or could he be lying and it's actually really, really tiny? Seriously, I'm nervous. Should I ask for a picture or what should I do? He is a nice person, by the way, so not some asshole just being a tool. Okay, so I've never heard of big dick being a problem personally, but
it sounds like a poker game to me, doesn't it?
Very, but you would understand why she's overthinking it, though.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if that was me, I'm trying to think personally if I've ever been in that kind of situation. It's kind of, if somebody warns you about something, you're gonna always think, how bad can it be? Do you know, like, say, friend, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's
causing problems in in relationships is like a big thing. To throw in the mix if he's just trying to play the you want to see it sort of card.
Do you think? But then it's like you would, if anything. So it's kind of like this. You would, if it's clearly big.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't brag. Do you know, like, you would kind of play something down so people are taken by surprise. So say, for instance, if I had like a really, really big penis, I'd be like, oh, it's kind of small, like, or like, you know, like, oh, I'm not that, like,
and it's like,
funny.
And then, is it?
Yeah, and then is it? And then it's like, oh, and then like, you're pleasantly surprised. Meanwhile, like, if he's saying it's big, then it must be like really, really, really big. But then that's, God love him though, like, as in, it's, if it's been an issue for him in previous relationships, he said,
that's true.
You know, but
he may be genuine with this.
Like,
it's just trying to warn.
Because maybe for him, like, maybe he struggled, maybe being intimate with people because maybe like it is
too
sore, or maybe it's
take 2 ibuprofen before get into bed.
I've never heard of big is never a problem, and I believe everything fits. Everything, so it's all with a bit of effort. So a bit of like, I'd say a bit of Vaseline, a bit of jelly, or anything slippery. You know, a good bit of lube would definitely help with that situation.
Use lube.
Loads of lube.
People use lube.
And I would say as well, if you haven't, I would say maybe like ask him for a photo. If you're maybe having that kind of, maybe like you're sexting, or you're maybe kind of like talking dirty, like maybe, like it doesn't do no harm to maybe see it beforehand. But I think I wouldn't overthink it. I think number one, maybe be intimate without having full on sex. So say like, like bring back fingering and bring back, oral sex. Oral sex I sometimes think is better.
Yeah.
That's me personally. Sometimes like the full way is a bit of a letdown. But I would say maybe just start off slow. So like do the bases. So first base, kind of kissing, maybe be intimate, that type of thing. You clearly like this guy, so I think you should definitely give it a chance and not overthink it. Seeing is believing. So like you haven't seen it yet, so your brain is automatically going to go to the worst place. So you're likely imagining that it's kind of like a horse dick, which maybe it's not far off, but at the same time, it'll not be as bad as what you think it is. But you will not know until you see it and experience it. But then the thing is, it's kind of like, take it slow, use lube, take your time, communicate, all them different things. Eventually, like, you can always make something fit.
Get an estimate.
Like approximately how big is big though? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's I've never heard of that though. Like, usually I've heard of girls saying about like it's too small.
Yeah.
But never too big.
You know what? See, you have a bit of caution.
Yeah,
you can make it work.
You can make it work, like, and that's the thing is, like, you could maybe just like like you don't have to go the full way in. Like, there's so many different ways that you can kind of like explore the sex.
Talk about it.
Yeah, so I would say improvise. Don't let it put you off. You know, you've got this. If you like the guy, if he's genuine, if he's nice, if you're attracted to him, like this isn't the biggest problem in the world, and don't stress about it and don't get into your head about it. It will work. There's so many ways you can make it work. But I definitely would say that I'm sure that maybe if you were intimate with him without having sex with him first, I bet you that you would likely be like, oh, right, it's actually not that bad. You know what I mean? So don't let it put you off. Don't go running for the hills. And trust me, you see, in about a year and a half, you will be bouncing on that dick, and it'll be not a bother till you might have a manhole, but or a bucket minge. But sure, look, who cares? So we'll see. We'll move on to another one there swiftly. Bucket minge. Fuck. This podcast was a bad idea. I'm not saying that you'll have a bucket minge, by the way. Like, everything always tightens up. Do you know what I mean? Like, look, people give birth. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if you think about it, like, people are pushing out human babies. Like, you'll be grand. You'll be grand. You'll be grand.
Time's a healer.
Time's a healer. And worst comes to worst, you can go to the Royal and get stitches. So, like, look, there's always a solution. Okay, so we've got another one here. I am in a relationship and I love them loads. We have a real connection. They are like a best... Oh, fuck. Can you guess where this is going to go?
Yeah. Friend zone?
Ish. Worse. What would be worse than being in the friend zone?
Oh, fuck. Being an Ardoin.
Not that. Not that, no. Basically, so they're like a best friend, but the sex isn't amazing. So... God love this guy. Right. He's not hitting Jay from the In-Betweeners vibes.
Yes, so he's the guy who's been warning about the big dick.
Yes.
So he's not delivering.
He's not delivering. So it's the package hasn't been received, DPD, it's not arriving. So she says that the sex isn't awful, but she's had better sex. We are moving in a new direction in our relationship. Although I wanted to go in this direction, I still have my doubts about our relationship because of this one thing. So it's kind of, I suppose, like, you've this one thing that you kind of can't shift out of your mind. And, like, I do believe, like, you know, like, obviously, like, sexual chemistry and connection is very, very important. It's kind of what differentiates a relationship from a friendship. You know, you can have somebody that where you have the loyalty and the trust and things in common and all them different things, but being intimate is kind of what differentiates it.
But if it's a good friendship and all, it's going to be tough to...
So do you feel like this could move into like the friend zone kind of thing? It's like, so say if you were with somebody and like say like that part, like the magic isn't happening there, and say you've been with them for a while and it's not changing, you're going to grow up out of a relationship. Do you know what I mean? You're going to end up...
And I think that's going to be a big terror.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's always the danger with being with your best friend. And, like, when that's over.
When that's over, aye.
Like, you lose a big part of you.
A part of, yeah.
But again, communication.
So
like,
this is...
if you're not enjoying it, talk about it. But what would make it better?
And this is the thing. I think sometimes... I think men can sometimes be a wee bit like, not like necessarily like in a bad way, but quite like dominant. And I think as men, we're quite like mammals. We're very like, you know, and we have a big ego. So I think sometimes maybe people are afraid to bruise the ego, and maybe that they maybe don't want to say like, oh, here, like, can you maybe do this different, or can you maybe do that? I don't think maybe turning around and saying to somebody, this is fucking shit, I don't think that's going to be helpful. Mm-hmm. But like, I would definitely I think one of the like communication is key. Like, you know, you need to kind of talk, like maybe try something different, or maybe try this or that or whatever. You know, maybe if you want to like take control in it. Obviously, I don't know the full ins and outs of this, but I would say, you know, have a bit more of a say and don't be afraid to be vocal, because what it sounds is that you do have a genuine relationship here and a genuine connection with somebody. And I know that this is one thing that is kind of like not a deal breaker, but it is important in a relationship. You know, that having that chemistry and that comfort of being intimate, but you have to be comfortable to be able to say how you feel. And if you're not enjoying it, that can be fixed. Like, you know, it can be very easily fixed. You can, you know, it's like trying new things or exploring different maybe like fantasies, or maybe different positions, or maybe, you know, different paces, momentum, etc. You know, What mix it up, yeah. And I think whenever you're in a relationship, you get so comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, it's like missionary and then a pot noodle after, and you're lying at opposite sides of the bed, and you're just like, it's very, you get complacent. When you think of the start of a relationship, it's very much like Ann Summers. You've got like, should I maybe buy handcuffs or this or that? And, you know, and starts off, you're buying like the Durex lube, the tingly one, and then the next minute, like, you know, you literally are using
finger up my arse.
a finger. Do not knock don't knock a finger up the ass. Like, it is, honestly, that's where the G spot is. But it's I think sex, whenever you're with somebody for a long period of time, you can fall out of the groove. And I think it's maybe you just need to find your groove again. So maybe, you know what, like book maybe like a, I don't know, like maybe like a dirty motel, or, you know, like, I don't know, like Premier Inn or the E-Tap. Or maybe if you want to do something a bit more fancy, maybe like the Merchant, or, you know, something like a spicy kind of weekend, you know, and maybe just be a wee bit suggestive of, I wouldn't highlight it as a problem, I would highlight it as a solution. So being more like, hey, like, you know, I thought maybe if we maybe try this or maybe do this a wee bit differently, I would really enjoy that. What do you think? And, you know, make it like, you know, make it an open conversation where you can kind of both explore each other's kind of pleasure points and fantasies. And like, trust me, I think with good communication, I think you will definitely notice a big difference. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully you do have a better sex life. If not, I would recommend Love Honey, but we don't want to come to that point. So we've got another one here. There's actually quite a few. God, there's loads of heartbroken girls. So I have been in a long-term relationship since I was 18. I love him to bits, but I sometimes have doubts and think the grass is greener elsewhere. I do love him, and I don't want to break up with him because we have a great life together. Is this normal to feel this way, or is my gut instinct trying to tell me that I maybe should not be in this relationship? Right, first of all, Sean, you're in a relationship, aren't you?
Yeah.
How long have you been in a relationship?
For 12 years.
12 years, right, okay. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
You're married, aren't you, Sean?
Got married
last year. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I suppose it's like this. I suppose she's asking here, is it normal to have kind of any, not necessarily like doubt in your relationship or the grass is greener, but like I know, like say, I know a lot of people, especially where I'm from in the country, like they meet their lover at like say 16 years of age. They never went on a holiday to Santa Ponsa or Magaluf or here or there. They never, you know, had a one night stand on a beach, you know, or they never done any of these types of things. And I suppose explored their youth. And I suppose you maybe have moments of, did I maybe not miss out, but do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I think with like being in a long-term relationship myself, I've never really had those feelings of missed out, but I understand where people are coming from because like, you know, we're seeing media and stuff like that. It's like, you know, you see the party lifestyle and you see dating lifestyle, and it's like, and I had a friend actually who left a long-term relationship with those type of feelings of like, you know, is the grass greener
on the other side?
And, you know, what the problem ended up being for him was that he just wasn't happy in that relationship.
Right.
In my mind, that's what it was. So because he didn't have a happier time single and partying.
Okay.
And, you know, meeting other girls.
Okay.
But when he found someone else and has now had a long-term relationship with them, you can see the difference. Yeah. You know, like is like, so I feel like that's maybe a bit more. It says a bit more about the relationship. The relationship,
right? So, I suppose, So you think if there's any element of a doubt,
maybe look into
the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I do get the whole like comparison is the thief of joy. I think we definitely live in a world now where like, so I was actually talking about this with a friend recently. It's like, you know, I look back and say like my granny and my granddad, they were literally soulmates, right? But like they went to La Fla maybe once a year. Like that was the height of their like social calendar. Yeah. Life wasn't really that exciting. They had a farm, they had cows, whatever. Like, you know, it's not the world that we live in. And I think the world that we live in is so great in so many ways, but also it makes so many things more accessible. Yeah. So, like, I think true love definitely would have existed. I still think it does, But I think whenever I look at my granny and granda and that kind of pure love, there wasn't this outside noise.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, now I think in relationships, we have all these kind of things that will make us maybe doubt ourselves, even just as people. Like, you know, you'll look on social media, you'll maybe see somebody doing well. You're like, oh gosh, like they're doing well. I'm now inferior. Or like, you know, there's so many things I think now in the world that's kind of designed to make us doubt ourselves. You know, and there is so much more like things that are accessible. Like people, if you wanted to go out now and get a fuck, you can. Like, you know.
Yeah. I would say it's probably the healthier option to, you know, go and like explore and find. I count myself lucky that I feel like I did meet a right person and just happened to like, you know, fall into that. But I wouldn't say to everyone that like, you know, stay in a relationship and like you know, just for the sake of
the sake of it.
But it may be the case that you know, that you have everything that you want.
But then I suppose it's one of them things where it's like if you do have the doubt, I suppose you'll not know the answer
until you try.
And
again, it comes back down to it. Communication. I know it's not an easy thing when it's but like if you feel like you need to have the conversation to say, look, I think we need a wee bit of time to go and find ourselves. We've been together from when we were young. We never had an opportunity to do that, and I just feel like I'm missing out on something. Then
I suppose see how the conversation goes first before you would nearly make a decision.
Yeah, and see if that's the way you're feeling.
Yeah,
do it now.
Yeah,
because the person still sounds quite young.
Yes,
but like so you've got your whole life ahead of you. Like, if the person doesn't react well, do you need to find your own space and to do your own thing?
Yeah.
It's not meant to be.
But that is, I suppose it is that thing when, like, you know, if I'm trying to think, me in a situation, if someone told me that, like, I'm very laid back though, but I think just, I'm very, I've got my shit together. I'm very, like, you know, I think if I was in a relationship, I'd maybe be shocked and maybe a wee bit hurt. But if somebody needed space or a break, I'd be like, look, we'll go and figure that out. You know, I'll be here, but like you need to kind of keep in the loop and you need to communicate. Some people take breaks and then they go completely one other way.
Yeah.
And then they can never get back to that place.
Yeah.
You know,
the worst thing that can happen from that is like you go and like the urge gets too much. And then they go and do something.
Yeah.
And then it's not a conversation, it's a fight.
It's a fight, yeah. No, complete. And I think it's like it's that thing. It's like if the seed's planted in your head, a seed will always grow into a tree, no matter fucking what. So it's whenever it's that small, that's the time to kind of sort it because it's not going to go away. It's only going to grow and grow and grow. I think if you're having that kind of moment, it's better to regret doing something than have that kind of what if. Because I think what you'll find is it's like you hear these stories of people that never went traveling because of their partner and then they got married and then they got divorced and because there was always fights because the person always resented the other because they nearly were in the way of their dreams. Meanwhile, I think if there's things that you really want to do in your life, especially when you're young, this is the time to do it. And I am a strong believer in I think everything always works out.
Yeah.
If it's not rejection, it's redirection. So but you might worry like, oh gosh, like I've been with this guy since I've been 18 years of age. I do feel like he is the one, but I kind of still have this urge. I feel like I need to go and find who I am without him in a way, but I'm scared of making that choice and losing him altogether. But like, you might not lose him altogether. This might be the best thing for your relationship. You might do it and realize that that's all that you want. But I think if the curiosity is there, I think you have to maybe go and either have a conversation about it or try and figure it out. But I think if you just put it to the back of your head, I think it's going to keep popping back up and I think it'll eventually kind of cause problems within the relationship. So I definitely think have the conversation and book the flight and go to Australia and get fucked by... Maybe don't do that. But...
get your shots first.
Get your shots first. Do you mean like the vaccines? Tell me what you think about this one. When your partner is cheating in your dream, do you think it's trying to tell you something? Thoughts?
I think that's
this is quite common, you know.
Yeah. What do you call that? What's the word I'm looking for?
Psychosis?
Yeah, it's like I think you're going a bit mad.
Do you think so?
I like because
I don't think it's anything to do with the relationship. I think it's to do with the person.
Yeah.
I think it's an insecurity thing
It's an
relaying in their brain, isn't it?
There is something to it.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're thinking that.
Uh-huh.
But that needs to be like, again, a talk.
Yeah.
Like,
by talk, do you mean like, because I actually...
Who the fuck do you think you are
like,
cheating
who the fuck
on
do
me?
you are dream cheating on me, you fucking cunt?
No, it's like, here,
Do you know?
I had a dream you were cheating on me. Like, and then it's discuss, you know.
But then, like, just please imagine saying that out loud.
I know. But
like, just imagine this scenario, right? Okay, so there's a restaurant, right? The fella's taking the girl out for dinner. Maybe it's their anniversary. She's sitting with the arms folded. She's doing like the heads to the side. She doesn't want to know, and he's like, "Oh, like, you know, what do you want?" And she's like, and she's being all dry, and he's like, "What's wrong, baby? What's wrong?" And then she's like,
some fucking
nothing.
cheek.
You fucking know what's wrong. You fucking know. Don't act fucking stupid. You know what you done last night in my dream. Like,
tell Kim Kardashian she can go and fuck.
Stop. But it is a song though.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing, like an insecurity thing where there's something in your relationship. So don't turn around and say, "You're dream cheating on me. Can we have a conversation about this?" Don't bring up the dream, right? Because I'm telling you now, I get it. I completely get it. I've had friends that this has happened to, but bringing it up, and they did bring it up to their partner, it doesn't land. It will never come out of your mouth the way that it is in your head. It will never sound like, "Oh, right, okay, that's completely valid or normal." Like, don't do it. But what I would say is, I think you need to look at the part of like, right, why are you maybe having this dream? So there's something that's within your relationship that's either making you feel anxious, paranoid, or insecure.
Or maybe just something about yourself.
Or yourself,
You're
yes.
not happy with, like,
yeah.
Maybe it's like you feel like you're not happy with your body or
Yeah.
how you look, or like the amount of time that you feel like you're spending in the
Yeah.
relationship. So, like,
Yeah.
something about it makes you feel either inadequate or that there's something going wrong. in
There's
the
something going
relationship.
wrong. And it is kind of that thing where it's like, I think sometimes you have to work out, like, what is the relationship problem and what is your problem that you're bringing into the relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, there's three different things. So we all have problems in life. Like, you know, I don't think I've never met anyone that's completely like kumbaya, my lord. But you have to work out, is this your own kind of issue, or is this something that he's done that's making you feel this way? But I think you just need to maybe think of that part first, and then I would then have a conversation from that way. But I think bringing up dream cheating, I just don't think boys would ever understand that. I get it from the girl's point of view, because I've had so many friends this has happened to, and I had a friend where she literally, like, she did break up with her boyfriend.
Over it,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not break up, but very much like, "I need a break, we're done. Like, honestly, you're a fucking asshole." And then he's like, "What the fuck have I done wrong?" And then she's like, "You know what you've done," like, basically like that. And then she's like, "Well, you know, like, if I'm dreaming about it, something's clearly happened."
Yeah.
You know, but then the fella's not going to win. Do you know what I mean? You'll never win.
Yeah.
But I think girls do have this fear. It's like, you know, like, man, I think there's this, like, you know.
Do you think cheating's as common now?
Yeah.
It was?
100%.
Yeah. Because I would feel like there's so many ways to be caught now. See, even like crime now. I go to myself like, see all these crime documentaries. I'm like, how do people get away with anything? There's cameras everywhere. You're fucking being tracked on your phone 24/7. Like, how do you get away with anything?
Oh, you can't. No, like, we are literally like, you know, we are like a fish in a bowl.
Yeah.
You know, like, we are under the lens. Like, no matter what, it'll always kind of come out. Yeah. But I do think it is still very much common. Like, obviously, like Tommy Fury and Molly May. Have you been following that?
I haven't, but I just know that they've broken up.
They've broken up.
Infidelity,
allegedly. So allegedly, we're throwing that in. On TikTok, a lot of people are saying apparently he was seen kissing girls in clubs, and apparently this is like a known thing in Manchester. And I think everybody's obviously like very much like kind of, it's given like Prince Diana and Charles whenever they split up. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like everyone's very much on Molly May's side, and very much like men are trash and this and that and whatever. But I do think cheating is still very common, but I think this is I find the psychology of cheating very interesting. Like, why do people cheat?
Yeah.
Do you know, I'm very much like, if you don't want to be with somebody, like, why would you waste your time?
Trying to cheat.
Like, it just feels like a lot of effort, or it feels like, you know, like, why would you just break up with them?
Yeah.
But is it because you think people want the best of both worlds? So it's kind of
like that our, person who sent the message in there, like,
yeah,
is the grass greener on the
other side? And you kind of want to be able to figure out in a kind of trial way, but you don't want to have to deal with the repercussions, I suppose, of it.
Yeah.
But then it's it always kind of does. I feel like it'll always kind of come out in the end. But what were we even talking about there before that?
God knows.
God, I know you can really go on a tangent, can you? But basically, it was with the dream cheating scenario. Don't bring up the dream cheating. But I do feel like girls are very insecure. But I think as well, sorry, this is an interesting point. I think sometimes you can be so self-conscious of adultery. I think because you're hearing all this stuff in the media, and you maybe hear this person's cheated, or this person's this or that or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. And it's all this outside noise. It can really fuck up your mind frame. And then sometimes what you can find in relationships is someone so nearly paranoid or anxious of somebody maybe cheating on them or deceiving them, what's the word? Deceiving them, that you find they can end up nearly creating it.
Oh, they're manifesting it.
Where are you at? What time are you home? And da-da-da-da. You need to text me as soon as you da-da-da-da. Like, and you see once you can actually end up pushing somebody away.
Yeah.
By your own paranoia, that then the thing that you feared the most happens.
That's the, like...
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the... where we get in the gaslighting territory, where it's like, well, you made me cheat for...
And then that falls... And then the flip back and, oh, yes... Oh, don't know.
If you hadn't have got on like that.
And
yeah.
And it's nearly like nobody can seem to take accountability for it. But it's but I think sometimes you can. I think that's maybe like I don't even know where to kind of go with that, so I'll maybe close that part. But we'll move on to another one here. So right, this one, mother-in-laws. So mother-in-law seems to be that kind of thing, isn't it? That
it's a tension point, isn't it?
Yeah. It's would you get on with yours, or do you?
I do.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things. I think my sister like helped me.
Yes.
With this a lot, like when I was younger, because like we would always have arguments. Me and my now wife, we would like be like, "Well, you're mad on that." But you're mad on that. So you always feel like you have to like back. And then my sister said to me, "But who cares? About what the other person says. Like, you're only backing. If somebody turns around and says, I didn't like the way you're mad on this, or
right,
something.
Okay, yeah, all right,
yeah,
and then doing that way,
your allegiance doesn't have to be to your man all the time. It can be just like you love your partner or whatever.
Yes.
So stop fighting over
outside, like an outside kind of relationship.
Yeah.
Because this is basically what this one is. So it's my mother-in-law is very overbearing. She can't seem to take a step back, and some of the stuff she says about our kids is very, very hurtful. My husband spoke to her twice, but she changes. Oh, right, okay. So basically, the husband spoke to the mother-in-law, basically like, look, the way you're speaking was not appreciated. Like, you're hurting my wife's feelings, etc. And then the mother-in-law has made adjustments. So like, try to be nicer or try to be more welcoming. But she does that for like a month, and then she reverts back. And her and the mother-in-law actually got on well, really, really, really well actually before. But then her and her husband moved away. So they moved away from the mother-in-law to be closer to her family.
No.
So basically all was harmonious. It was all great, happily ever after. The mother-in-law's seal of approval, everybody gets on, happy family. And then I think because they've made this recent move, then I suppose the mother-in-law's maybe feeling away and then acting away.
Yeah.
I kind of see both points of view. Is that fair to say? Or
I do.
I feel like this is like a miscommunication kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just, again, not talking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably a bit of like resentfulness. Because there's a history there too.
Yeah.
It's probably like, well, she never liked me.
Yeah.
So she's like, so it feels like, probably feels to the mother-in-law now, like that period of harmony was lies.
Was a lie, yes. Or like nearly that, like trying to make an effort or stay in the good books. And it's like, right now we're at a certain kind of point. Maybe it's like right, well, you clearly don't value me if you're going to move away.
Yeah.
But then I do think sometimes mother-in-laws, like, you know, I'm definitely like, I am a mummy's boy. And like, you know, if my mum could put me back in her womb, I do think she would. Like, she's very much like nobody puts baby in the corner. So I think it is kind of hard. I do feel sorry for anybody that has to come between a mother and her son. I think sometimes mother-in-laws never see anybody good enough for their child. And I think that then there's always that you're feeling like you're like, I think it's nearly like in competition for the attention of their, like, you know, but you know, you can't have, number one, you can't have a third person in your relationship. I don't think you'd want to be in a throuple with your mother-in-law. So I think that would be a wee bit weird and going on the grounds of like incestual behaviour, wouldn't it? Yeah, it's not really ethical. So I would avoid that. But I think a relationship's two people. Do you know what I mean? And like that, the mother-in-law can't be having a say or an influence in your relationship. But I think instead of getting your husband, not that saying that you're getting him to speak to his mum, like to his mum about this issue, I think maybe if you were once close with this woman, I think maybe it would do well for you and her to maybe sit down, because I think maybe this is a small problem. Maybe she just feels like she's being pushed out or a wee bit left out. If you've got along well before, that's a good thing. So you can get on well again. But go from it from approach of like, look, we really haven't been getting on good for the past while. There's been a lot of tensions. I'm thinking it's maybe because of the move. I want to know, like, how do you feel? I want to resolve this. I want you to be in our lives. I want you to be in our kids' lives. Like, you know, you're very important to us. And, you know, I suppose sometimes, you know, like you have to think sometimes with mothers and grandmothers, and whenever people get older, they can feel a wee bit lonely and they can feel a wee bit left out or pushed out. And I suppose it's just having that kind of conversation. I think there's cross wires here.
Make a wee effort.
And
I think focus on the relationship. You're not going to please everyone.
No.
So if you do make an effort, make a couple wee visits, bring the kids over, and show, you know, that you want to make it work. Yeah. But if that doesn't help things, then just focus on you.
Focus on you, and like coming to a conclusion of like a agree to disagree. Like that's not the end of the world. Like a lot of people, like there's friendships I've been in where it's maybe like we're not cohesive anymore. We don't have the same values, and we maybe have to be like, do you know what? Like we need to go separate ways. No bad blood though. Like, you know, all good. Wish them all well. Vice versa. You know, like, but sometimes it's like if the relationship maybe isn't working, or if it's causing more tension than it is good, then sometimes it's better to maybe like part ways. But in a healthy way. Like I think a lot of people are very much all about like snip and cutting people out of their lives, and I'm very much about that, but also like try to make things work too. If it's outgrown itself, or if it's not working, or if it's like if you've expressed how you feel and there's no real active change, or keeps going back to that same pattern, and you've said this so many times, I always say there's only so many times you should be able to tell a dog not to shit in a carpet. You know what I mean? If you've got a dog off fucking, I don't know, like Belfast Buy and Sell or Gumtree, and it's been told that it's been fully trained and chipped and whatever, and you take it back home and it's shitting everywhere, like you think it's taking laxatives or something, and you shouldn't have to keep telling that dog, you know, to stop shitting on the carpet. Do you know what I mean? Same as this here. You shouldn't have to keep telling somebody that they're annoying you. You shouldn't have to keep telling somebody to change their behaviour or this or that. If they keep repeatedly doing something, then it's time to walk away. But I think you and her need to have a conversation, I would say.
Yeah.
I think sometimes getting the husband to have the conversation can nearly sometimes make it worse. Yeah. Oh, did she put you up to so I?
Is that what she said?
Is that what she said? You're fucking brainwashed. You're fucking
cheeky wee bitch.
It just creates noise. Sometimes it's like man to man, woman to woman. It's cut the middleman out. It saves so much hassle. And believe it or not, I think how people handle difficult conversations says a lot. Confrontation isn't always a bad thing if you're respectful. You don't raise your voice. You don't need to be aggressive. You don't need to be any of these ways. You don't need to have the defense up. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Be like, look, I'm not going to lie. You've made a couple of these comments. This is how it's made me feel. And that should be able to kind of like, it'll soften it. And then, your mother-in-law might be able to be like, well, this actually upset me. And then you might be able to understand that, so that was the reason why we've kind of grown apart. And then you'll be able to fix it. So best of luck with that. I've got another one here, Sean. There's been loads. Let's see this one. Okay, so
we're healing the world.
Healing the world. I don't know, are we making it worse? I don't know. We'll listen to this back. We'll be like, maybe we might not be able to actually put this episode out, but hopefully we've maybe helped somebody out there. If even one person, that would be great. Right, we've got this one. So I've been with my boyfriend for 5 months now and things are going so well. We've met each other's families. He's met my kids. They absolutely love him and he is so great with them. So all going good.
Nice one.
5 months, going good. Met the family. So ticked off a lot of, I'd say, relationship milestones.
Yeah.
And especially if he gets on with the kids, I'd say that's a great sign.
That's a good one.
So that's... The time felt right for me to drop the L-bomb. So I did. And I didn't get it back. So like, I love you.
Oh, right.
What did you think it was?
I don't know.
Did you think it was like arson or something?
Yeah, I thought it was fellatio or something.
No, L-bomb. So the L-bomb would be like, I love you. Love you, the love bomb. Yeah. Like, not love bombing. Yes. Like, I love you.
And he didn't say it back.
So she said, I love you. So I suppose, likely, I'm trying to set the scene here. I'm going to imagine maybe, like, they're all maybe at a park. He's maybe came back with, like, ice creams for the kids. Being the good kind of, like, figure. Like, well, there you go. And high five. And it's all, like, there's all this, like, serotonin in the park. And she's maybe gazing into his eyes being like, this is really going so good. And just, that rush of a feeling where, like, it just comes out like word vomit. And you say, like, oh, I love you. And then it's like that, like, crickets, tumbleweeds flying across the park. It's just like, oh, my God. And then in that moment, like, seconds feel like hours and you're like, is he going to say it back? Is he going to say it back? Is he going to say it back? And then you're just completely snowballing. So
and he's just like dead on.
He did say that he has a lot of feelings for me. So he basically did, I suppose, instead of, which I do respect, to be honest.
Yeah, you know what? I think
some people kind of like be like, maybe like, so moving on, and then they'll never bring it up again. Mm-hmm. So I think it shows, number one, I think he clearly does like you, because so he basically did say, I don't love you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in love with you yet.
Or
but
I'm not ready to
I'm not ready to say it. He has a lot of feelings for the woman, but he just really wants to mean it when he says it. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that he went out of his way to say that, instead of maybe awkwardly brushing it off.
Yeah.
I think he's still trying to reassure you, but also, like, he wants to say it when it feels right. I felt like an idiot, so I told him I hope it didn't freak him out. He reassured me that it didn't, so I think all is good. I am worried I maybe have scared him off. Should I stop worrying and just wait for the right time and for him to reciprocate those feelings, or what should I do? So It's kind of like a classic scenario where she's in her head with this.
Yeah, and I think she's answered her own question.
Yeah,
like
she has.
Just give it time, and let it take its course. You've already laid all your feelings out on the table,
and your feelings are valid, by the way. Like, it's okay to love somebody. It doesn't mean that they won't. You
don't know what this person's been through in previous relationships.
They could be very guarded. They maybe are very protective. And I do. This is one thing I've definitely noticed, and I don't know if you can't really categorize genders and stuff, but I've definitely have noticed that I think men are very, very guarded with their emotions. I think when a man says something, he will mean it. Like, he will mean it. Meanwhile, I think women are a lot more maybe like emotional and a lot more like, I don't want to use the word sensitive because it's not the case for all women, but like categorically speaking, I think it's more like, wee, I love you. Meanwhile, a man's more like, no, like, this is this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, women are more like nurturing and affectionate and, you know, like, do you know, in a way.
If things are going well in the relationship,
then I wouldn't be doubting it.
Then there's no problems.
Yeah.
Like, it's different if it's, you know, maybe just your part of the relationship, the bit that you have with him, maybe like the sex life, the way you talk and you text and stuff. But maybe there's other aspects that don't work. Like, or if there was like red flags, like say he didn't get on with the kids or something, then that's when you would maybe question something like that.
Certain things.
But if everything else is hunky dory, then I see no issue in it. 5 months is also that period of time where it's not too soon.
Yes.
But it hasn't been too long either.
It hasn't been too. It's still. I would say I'm very much like slow and steady wins the race. So it's like, you know, take your time with things.
Enjoy yourself.
And enjoy yourself. But I think sometimes, people kind of catastrophize. So like they kind of nearly need to see like the 5-year plan before they'll step their foot into the pool. Or, you know, I think we're nearly afraid of like letting our guard down for somebody and it not maybe working out, or everything feels very like the end of the world. And
they might be like looking for different things in this. So she might be thinking, right, okay, I'm at, I don't know what age this girl is, but, you know, she might be at an age where she's like, okay, well, I want to try and find someone now.
Yes.
Like,
she's ready for the one.
Been around, like, and I just want to find someone.
Yeah.
Whereas he might be at a place where he's been with someone who he thought
was the one. And that didn't
work out. So now he's still a nice person. As trying to find his way again. And
you just, maybe it's just, you need to have a bit more patience, or maybe a bit more.
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. And I think it's like, it's this thing, it's kind of like sometimes it's like, just because you maybe said something and that's not a rejection. Do you know what? I wouldn't look at it as a rejection. He hasn't rejected you. I think actions speak louder than words, number one. If he's making an effort with your kids, right, that's a big step. That's a big step. So it says a lot about him as a person and how he feels for you. And if everything's going really good and and if you feel that way and you wanted to share that, don't feel guilty about sharing it. I'm sure he likely appreciated you saying that you loved him. So like, don't look at it as if it's a bad thing. You wouldn't have scared him off. If you scared him off, he wouldn't be here. Like, that's the one thing about men. Like, you know, they'll dart.
Yeah.
You know, like, they can't sit and fake it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So if he would let you know if you scared him off. So I think you need to not overthink it. And there's this thing in Japanese culture, apparently, I remember somebody said this to me one time, because I'm kind of like the girl. I would likely snowball. Yeah. And I have a tendency like of doubting things, or maybe not creating problems, but nearly it's that fear of somebody hurting you. I know I'm very guarded. I don't want to let anybody in too much, so I'm nearly ready to push them back out. But it's this thing, like, you know, if a vase has a crack in it, some people can appreciate the beauty in the vase, even with the crack. Some people have to grab the vase and smash it and glue it back together just so they feel like they have control over it. I think it's something like that anyway. I'm a vase smasher. I'm getting the hammer. I'm fucking smashing the shit out of it, because I'm nearly like, oh, nobody's making a fucking cunt out of me. Yeah. But at the same time, you can't be like that.
Yeah.
You know.
I appreciate a good crack.
You can't. So do I. But it is like, it's, you know, like sometimes we can create the problem. So I'd say I wouldn't stress about it and I wouldn't overthink it. I think this is definitely all going in the right direction. And trust me, within time, you know, I think if it's meant to be, it will be, and you will, like, just be patient. You never know what somebody's background is or what somebody's maybe been through, you know. And I do believe that love isn't a word that should be thrown around. I think you should only really say it when you truly mean it. And I think that's him respecting your feelings. He wouldn't want to give you false hope. So when he says it, you will know that he means that. But it's all going in the right direction. So I wouldn't doubt it. It sounds like you've got something really, really good going here. So don't let your mind play tricks and start overthinking it, because then that could maybe create problems. But sounds really good, and congratulations that you've met somebody that obviously clearly values you as a person, and I hope that all works out. This is our final one. This actually ended up being a full Dear Deirdre segment, which wasn't actually the intention. And apologies, by the way, if you are still here listening to this. This is very much like a trial and error. We weren't really that prepped for this. Sean was, I wasn't. So I think definitely I hope I will find my feet more once we keep doing episodes.
Great.
Do you think it's going good?
Yeah, definitely.
I suppose it's kind of like in a podcast, you really don't know what you're saying half the time.
Yeah, you're just going with the flow of it.
Going with the flow of it. And then anytime I've ever been in one, whenever I was in Andrews, I walked out and I was like, what have I said? It is a bit of a tangent. You're like, did that make sense? But we've got a final one here. This is kind of the one that kept reoccurring. So just in a generic way, we're going to close the laptop for this. Basically, dating. So a lot of women out there, women that are maybe in their 30s and have maybe just broke up with somebody, or maybe people in their also in their 20s, 40s, everybody. There's quite a lot of different age groups, but they're all kind of saying the same thing. How do you get back out there dating without using dating apps? So I suppose, I know I'm very much like a hopeless romantic. I always envisioned that I would meet my soulmate in a library, and I walk in very whimsical, and my hair's blowing even though I have about 4 strands in my head.
You bump into them.
You bump into them. You know, you maybe you're grabbing a book, you're leaning up, and then you drop the book, and then the book's on the ground, and you both put your hand in, and you touch hands, and it's like, oh, Pride and Prejudice. Oh, that's my favourite book too. And then you gaze into each other's eyes, and then maybe Jennifer Rush, The Power of Love just starts playing, I whisper in the morning, and then you fall in love. It doesn't happen like that. We've all watched way too many movies, and I think movies have absolutely brainwashed us to what we think love is. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's how do you meet people in this day and age? So it's kind of like this. Do you remember back in the day, I don't know, did you ever have teenage discos up here?
Yeah.
Right, so you would have went to a teenage disco, and maybe say at one side of the hall the girls stood, and then at one side of the hall the boy stood, and then the boy or the boy's friend would maybe go up to the girl, or the girl's friend being oh, my friend likes you, and then you'd maybe go off and maybe pair off and kiss or whatever.
Yeah.
Was that a thing up here?
Yeah. And spicy when you went to the Guild Talk.
Yes, and the Guild Talk as well.
Yeah, it was rife.
Rife. Oh, it was the Guild Talk was
yeah. It was half the purpose of going.
Yeah. With the teenage disco. So very much that simpler time where people would have approached people.
Yeah.
Now it's very much you've got the girls standing at the edge of the bar waiting for a guy to maybe approach them. But then guys, I think now, are more introverted, that they either maybe don't have the confidence, or maybe they have the arrogance that they maybe think that. I feel it's kind of it's a bit of a tug of war at the minute, I feel.
Mm.
And I think that's why people are internet dating more so.
Yeah.
I think technology's made people nearly I think it's really fucked up our social skills.
Yeah.
Hasn't it though?
Yeah.
And a pandemic as well, let's be real about it.
And there's less, if you see someone out on their own in a bar 15 years ago, you assume, they're 50% likely to be looking for someone here tonight.
Yes.
Whereas now, it's maybe 10%.
10%.
So there's a lot more legwork, and there's a lot more fear of rejection.
It's the fear of rejection, isn't it?
So...
But then it's that thing as well. Do you think a man should always approach a woman?
No, of course not.
So, and just to make this quite I suppose inclusive, because I don't want to make this very man and woman. So, but kind of, I suppose there's always, you do find it's masculine and feminine energy most of the time. But do you think, because obviously in say LGBT relationships,
should the mask person?
So I'm quite feminine. I don't think I would go up and approach a man.
Yeah.
I would want a man to come up and approach me.
Yeah.
I'd be the one at the bar, being looking around,
Who,
me? Me? With that strand, pushing it behind the ear, hoping.
Yeah. Well, what I think is, I do think, we should break free of
free from that, I think so, yeah.
And just if you, And just be a bit more have a bit more self-confidence.
Self-confidence, yeah.
And being able to go up and
Yeah.
talk to people.
Because I think it's that kind of conditioning that's making it difficult.
Yeah.
I feel like if we're all both thinking, oh, they should be approaching me, then nobody's approaching anybody. Do you know what I mean? So what I would say is, likely, if you find somebody attractive or you think that they're funny or this or that, like, how do you meet people? I don't think you meet people you can meet people in the most randomest ways. Mm-hmm. It might not be that romantic bookstore moment. I don't think that would exist. Like, who the fuck goes to a library?
But like, whatever you're
maybe
interested
people do.
in, everybody has their own wee, like, sort of quirky interests.
Yeah.
So if there's something you're into, whether it's like concerts
or dogging or
dogging,
so maybe the car next over in the car park in the forest.
That's the soulmate.
Yeah, just tap the window and be like, hey. Look, stranger things have happened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, find your wee interests.
Yeah.
If it's going away, walk in the park, and there's somebody that you like see on your wee regular route, and then you go, I'm gonna say them and they're always walking that dog and they're always on their own. Maybe.
And it doesn't always have to be like will you, like, I think some people feel like it has to be this, like, right to the point, like, boom, you know, like, in for the kill. Like, it could be something friendly, like, oh my gosh, like, oh, your dog's so cute, like, if it is the dog in the park. Or it could be like, oh my gosh, like, your shoelace is undone. Like, you can make small talk conversation.
I really like your tattoo.
Really like your tattoo. You know, anything. It doesn't have to be this, like, transactional, direct, like, I'm making it clear that I'm into you, you know. But like, we have to kind of get out there and we have to get mingling, and, you know, you're not going to meet anybody by sitting waiting for people to always come up to you. And also, to the girls listening, men do like confident women. Like, you know, if you could imagine if you were single, Sean, like, if a woman come up to you and, like, not being like, hey baby, like, you know, but being more like, oh, hey, like, how are you? Oh my gosh, wasn't this great or whatever? And like, oh, can I get your number? Maybe thought we could maybe hang out or something. Like, would you be flattered by that, or would you be like scared off by that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you'd be like, oh, like, you would nearly be like, oh wow, like a confident woman. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't be afraid to be confident or to go up to a man, like, you know. And also, like, if it is a rejection or if it's not a match, it's not meant to be. We're not meant to be dating absolutely everybody in this world. There's only a few people, I think, in life that we actually connect with. But, you know, trial and error. Like, if they turn around and say, no, I'm not interested, fuck them. On to the next one, back to the drawing board. Do you know what I mean? But don't let it put you off. But, like, if you find dating apps, what do you think of dating apps?
They're quite toxic, aren't they?
They are. I think good intention
in all of us, isn't it? Although there's some amazing stories from them.
Amazing stories, and some do actually work out.
Yeah, I know loads of people. Mm-hmm. Like lots of friends who are in long-term relationships with people that they've met in dating apps. Yeah. So, like, they work. But I think it's like, give a go at both. If you don't fancy it, if you think it's a bit shallow, the whole, like, you know, just talking to 100 people, like, based on appearances. Yeah. If you do find that a bit shallow and it's not for you, then try and get out. But it is going to be hard to find people. Yeah. If you're just looking around, get on the apps.
I would say, yeah. And I think that, like, this is what I think with the apps as well. It's like, I would look at the apps as more like, don't be so discouraged by them. Like, I think they can have good, but then also it's like, you've maybe a smaller chance of maybe meeting the one on an app, but you can very much still, that person could be on that app. Don't, like, knock it, have an open mind. Don't knock it until you try it. But then also, like, look at it, I guess, you're not losing out on anything. So by maybe writing to the guy or maybe going on a date or whatever, you're going to gain more confidence in dating. It could be a good date. If it's a bad date, it could give you insight to know, like, right, I don't like this in somebody. I don't want this in someone. You know, you'll get education or intel from it to be able to know, and you'll keep moving and moving and moving until you find the one. But I also do believe that you will find it when you're not looking. Yeah. I believe that always happens. Yeah. Because that is how it just organically, the pieces just fall together.
That's true.
But we'll touch on that, I'd say, lately in more upcoming episodes. But that is everything here now. Thank you so much if you've listened. This is my first episode. So, like, this is me technically popping my cherry. I have lost my first episode podcast virginity. My asshole's really, really sore. So I need some Sudocreme. Not by Sean. Just as a disclaimer, if you're watching it, you will know. But that is everything. Obviously, make sure to follow us on our social media accounts, and we will be having loads of guests. We'll be having loads of different things on. We'll always be having Sean's input as well in these episodes. And yeah, thanks for listening. Is there anything else I meant to say in like a podcast wrap up? Because I haven't a fucking clue. Subscribe. Oh yeah, subscribe. Oh fuck
Yeah.
Well,
tell your friends.
Tell your friends. Spread the word.
Tell your enemies as well.
Tell your enemies. Yes. What else?
That's it.
Maybe if you can get it read out at your local parish, that would be great. Just we want it to do well. But this is very much the pilot episode. I don't think the plane has completely crashed.
No.
We've managed to navigate the plane safely.
Yeah.
In this pilot episode, but I wouldn't say. I don't think we're going to get a Cannes Film Festival for this one. Like, let's be real.
Not yet.
It's a bit all over this show.
But it's good. It's good. No,
is that a good thing in a podcast? I don't know. There's a lot of self-doubt.
A bit of chaos is always great.
A bit of chaos is always good. But look, this is everything from us here, from producer Sean and myself, Gerry. Thank you for listening, and see us for next week's episode. Bye.